Okay, you're on.
Oh, welcome to Chop Donkey Tasting Rooms. So we're just having a few beers with celebrity Ewan, and Olympic champion, and Jared, beer connoisseur.
But Jared, a good marathon runner. You're a good runner. You're running further than I am tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I don't mind a bit of running.
Jared is the fastest person in Durrington. No offence to Martin or Neil. You called them out earlier. You said you were quicker than them guys.
Well, I'm older, so it's all age adjusted, isn't it? Seems fair.
Is this the village? Is it you have like almost like an unofficial village ranking of speed and sports day? Yeah, got it. Nice.
So Jared was saying you're top, and who was second? Was it Neil? Martin?
Who's top? Well, it depends how far we're running. Martin's probably quickest. He did the London Marathon just under 4 hours. I did it in 4 hours and 2 minutes. So we've got some catching up. But he's got
4 hours and 2. 4 hours and 2. You've got to be kicking yourself there. And
yeah, you could have cracked the 4 hour.
Yeah, good pop.
So you and now, sorry, Jared,
we'll get us at 4 hours eventually.
So you and how are you finding the lockdown?
It's all right. It's been I think to start with, initially I was like, oh, this is all right. Then as it dragged on, I was like, I'm not liking this because my work is kind of a bit sporadic. So sometimes I'm not very busy, sometimes I'm crazy busy, but I'm normally away at least 2 nights a week or 2 days a week filming or doing work somewhere around the country. And I like being with people, I like mixing with people, and all of a sudden that's taken away. And it's the same for everybody. You're out of sync, aren't you? Your normality has all of a sudden gone. And in a way it was a good thing because I spent lots of time with my son. I've done lots of DIY around the house, stuff that I've been meaning to do for about 5 years. I've never bothered. All of a sudden, my garden's beginning to look quite nice. And, I use the time quite wisely to sort of keep myself busy. What I did find I was doing for myself, because I found it quite mentally draining, not having that structure in my life. So what I found was really beneficial was every morning I'm waking up and I'm writing down a couple of jobs to do. And I made the mistake of the first couple of weeks of lockdown, giving myself way too much. I'd go to bed and I think, oh my God, I've only done 2 things out of 10 today. And I'd feel a bit negative. So then I started writing down realistic goals. So I'd go to bed every night and I think, do you know what? I've had a great day today. I painted that fence and I cut the lawn or whatever I set out to do. So I think it's quite important to give yourself just realistic goals to keep your mind occupied, really. Because that's what I've tried to do, is keep myself busy.
Yeah. Yeah, they're great points to keep you focused. We are creatures of habit, so I mean, I'm sure it's affecting everyone to some sort of extent. Jared, you've still been working though, haven't you?
Yeah, still been working and really quite busy. So it's different working from home. Same sort of thing. I mean, it's nice to be in the office and probably got sort of 8 people within sort of 2 meters where I'd sit. So that's not really going to be the same. And I can't see me back in that sort of environment probably before the end of the year, I wouldn't think. So yeah, it's different working at distance and not quite so good in some ways.
Yeah, well, there are some positives. If more people are working from home and discover they can work from home, it's better for the environment. And even if it's like a half day. I mean, you've seen some of the sites where you see more nature coming out. At least there's some positives coming out of it.
I think one of the things I've quite liked about it as well is, I smile, I'm saying it, but I think the British humour is brilliant. Some of the things you see on social media, and people have been really creative, haven't they? And people have been quite funny. And I, for one, I'm hoping when we come out the other end of it, people are a little bit nicer, a bit more patient with one another. Because I've spoken to a neighbour I've not spoken to in 15 years, and I feel really guilty about this. It took this to happen for me to leave a little note in her door. She's an elderly lady, and said, look, this is my number. It's Ewan from across the road. If you need anything, please call me. And I did it, and I thought afterwards, why haven't I done that before? I felt almost like it shouldn't have taken something like this to happen to me to realise the old lady across the road one day might need a bit of help. So I think I feel guilty, but now I feel good I've reached out to her. And I really hope afterwards people will stop and say good morning in the street. I hope they do. I don't know how long it will last for. I think before we all just took life for granted a little bit, and for certain the NHS have deserved every plaudit they've got, because, you know, I think, and I'm guilty of it as well, I think until you need something like the NHS, you don't realise how good they are and how lucky we are to have them. Now, when my son was born, he was critically ill for 10 days, and it was only then that I actually valued the NHS, and I can never thank them enough for saving his life. And, you know, I think lockdown and this coronavirus has made a lot of people sit up and go, blimey now, we are lucky because we've got a great service on our doorstep. So, you know, I think there's been some really positive things to come out of a negative situation, really.
Yeah, it's nice to think about a bit more time, isn't it? You know, with sort of, people making things like homemade wine and so forth. You can't buy yeast for love nor money on the internet. Elderflower champagne, all this kind of stuff, and we're cooking more, all these things. We've just got a bit more time to live a normal life.
What have you been making then, Jared?
Elderflower champagne.
Yeah, nice. You been doing any baking?
Pickled walnuts.
Oh, nice. I was talking about what you've been making now. I'm not talking about problems.
No, I'll show you one later.
So, something I've always wanted to ask you, Ewan, is that you did, because I used to do a bit of wrestling. I remember you on a wrestling program on TV, and you, I know that Rowdy Piper was on there.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was one of the coaches. Funny you mentioned that. I was talking about that actually today to someone, and that was probably one of the first TV gigs I did, because I was still an athlete at the time, and my coach didn't want me to do it, and I just had Achilles surgery, and I was like, listen, I'm not going to run for another 3 or 4 months. I think I'll be all right to do this program, and I really enjoyed it. The only disappointing thing for me was, I don't know what happened with that program, but something was lost in the edit in terms of when we filmed it. It was brilliant. The set was amazing. They spent millions on it. It was like Gladiators. You know, it was one of them programs where it felt when we recorded it, wow, this is going to be amazing. But then for some reason, 3 or 4 weeks in, the ratings just dropped. And I think sometimes in TV, you can make something that you think is brilliant, and then when they go to edit it, they leave bits out, or they make it too Americanized, or whatever they did to it. But it was almost lost in translation. But it was a really good experience to do it. And, you know, I was quite fit at the time, so I quite enjoyed putting myself up against other people. I mean, I'll always be competitive. I'm too old now to be properly competitive, but at the time, I loved it, you know, trying these different sports and get a chance to try. And, you know, it's a little bit like since I've retired, like Jared, I do the odd marathon here and there. I do some different races, which they don't suit me. I wasn't born to do long distance really, but it's really nice to put yourself up against yourself and, you know, and try and compare, you know, this marathon time to last time I did or whatever it might be. And hopefully I'll always have that sort of competitive edge. Maybe not when it comes to drinking beer with you two, but most races I fancy my chances.
What other wrestlers were on there? I can't remember.
You had Roddy Piper. Oh, what was his name? Joe someone. Hang on. There was 2 coaches. It'll come back to me in a minute.
Oh, yeah. So there was just 2 professional wrestlers, and the rest were trainees.
It won't narrow it down, but it was a big American with really long, curly, dark hair. But I know that won't narrow it down. I think there was Rowdy Piper was one of the judges. No, there was 3. There was 3 professional wrestlers. It'll come back to me in a minute. I'll have to Google it. I'm going to Google it while I'm talking to you.
Was Rowdy Piper, was he your coach?
No, he wasn't. No, he was like an overall coach. Hang on. I'm Googling it as we speak.
Yeah, unfortunately he's passed, but he was a WWF legend. I mean, he was the guy who made Hulk Hogan look good. He was the heel.
He was a really nice guy as well. You know, when you meet some people in life and you think, yeah, I wonder what they're going to be like. He was really nice. Here we go. Right, hang on.
Yeah, I've heard he's a nice guy.
Oh, yeah, I'm just Googling it now.
Jared, have you heard of him?
No.
No, you're not a wrestling fan?
Well, other than my, what's it, something Libre t-shirt, Mexican wrestling.
It's not coming up.
How about Big Daddy Giant Haystacks? You must remember that, Jared.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone knows, yeah.
But you didn't watch the WWF?
And Jake the Snake and so forth. I've seen a picture of you with Jake.
Yeah. So when I started wrestling, I was lucky enough. Jake Roberts was he was over here, so I probably trained with him for about a year. I used to have a free weights gym at the time. He used to pop down there, and I stayed up with him. He lived in St Albans at the time, And I used to referee some of his matches and drive him to some of his matches. So he was like a really, really interesting guy, Jake.
Right, Nath, I've got it. Sorry, I spent that time Googling. Right, so the team captain from the other side was a wrestler called D'Lo Brown. I don't know if you know.
Oh, yeah, D'Lo Brown. Yeah. He was,
and then
he's a great wrestler.
And on my side, my coach was Joe Legend.
Oh, Joe Legend. Yeah, I don't know him so well, but yeah. Rowdy Piper's more sort of my era when I was growing up. Yeah. So were you a WWF fan?
I like a bit of wrestling. I don't know if you've seen. You know the boxer Anthony Ogogo. I don't know if you know, but he's taken up wrestling now. He's been putting loads of weight on, and he's really bulked up. And he's gone from being a cruiserweight boxer to like, it looks a bit too big to be honest, like a bit chunky, but now he's leaning up. And he's just been signed up to do. It's not WWE or WWE. I can't remember what it is. It's a format I've never heard of. It might be new, but he's signed up for that.
I mean, the WWE division below, that soccer development one's called NXT. Is it that?
It might be that. I'm not sure, but yeah, he's signed up to do that. You never fancied anything like that yourself, mate?
Well, I was saying to Jared a second ago that it's a long time ago. I was training and I was doing some stuff with Jake Roberts for about a year, Jake the Snake. So I was doing little shows around the country, and I was just sort of in the like Southampton Guildhall, for example. It's like real small crowds at the time. I don't know what it's like now, but you could only make money if you made it to the big one in America, the WWF. I mean, the guys that are making a bit of money doing the circuit around England and the UK, but I really enjoyed it, but it was hard. And I did have a trial for the WWF when they come over to Manchester. I mean, I wasn't that good because I haven't been doing it for that long, so I don't think I was that confident. It was with Kurt Angle, took the trial.
Yeah, I was going to say, you say about you had a trial. I saw a film on, I think it might be Netflix or something, and it's a true story of who's the girl from Norwich, Paige, someone Paige. It's a really interesting film, and I didn't know the story behind her and her family, but they were all like, wannabe wrestlers, and as you said, there was no money in it, and they travelled around the UK, and she got her chance, she got the big break, and now she's in America living life.
I mean, she comes from a family of great wrestlers. I mean, I used to know, I know those guys from when I was doing a little bit of wrestling. And they're from Norwich, and they got their own set up, and they're great people in the wrestling industry. And they help a lot of kids as well. Kids that are having problems, they give them free wrestling, and they take them under their wing. They are really good people. So it's good to see that Paige did so well.
Yeah, it's really nice, isn't it, when you see like people who've come from very humble beginnings do well. So yeah. I enjoyed that film actually. Yeah, really. I watched that. Really enjoyed it. I also liked the other film, the film The Wrestler. That looks really tough. Yeah, the way Mickey Rourke portrays a wrestler who's down and out and tries and comes back, and it's horrible. Isn't it? It's just like brutal. It looks like one of those sports, which is like you said, if you make it, you're great, but if you're not, you're struggling.
It's really gritty because it really does portray that wrestler. There's a lot of them around that have been wrestling in WrestleManias and can wrestle in front of 80, 90,000 people. And then I've personally seen them in the UK wrestling in front of sort of 100 people. And they shouldn't really be in the ring. They're like a bit old, or they've got some injuries. But they're just, I mean, they might be addicted to that adrenaline rush performing. Or some of them are just like, living hand to mouth just to earn that like 100, 200 quid at the end of a night, when they were older. They had a lot of money.
Have you seen the Michael Jordan on Netflix? That's a really interesting series.
Last Chance, that was good.
Brilliant. What a documentary. You can just see you see his mindset, can't you? You can just see the guy's a born winner, and I love the fact that he expected excellence from everyone around him if they were. But he said, listen, I wouldn't expect anyone to do what I don't do on the basketball court. And if you don't give it 150% every single training session, then don't even play with me. I like that because, I trained with a lot of people who, could have probably done a lot better than they did. And I found that quite personally disappointing, the fact they didn't get the best out of themselves. So, I think whatever walk of life you're in, we only get one shot at this, don't we? So I think whatever you do, you should always try and be the best version of yourself you can be in. And I find it quite disappointing when I meet people from different walks of life who I think you could be doing better than this. But then again, you can't criticise. Some people are very content with their lives and they're happy to be on that level where, yes, they probably could go to the next stage, but they're happy as they are. So each their own. But I personally have always grown up thinking, whatever it might be, come on, be the best you can be at whatever you're doing.
Yeah, you've achieved a lot in athletics. But I was thinking, when you were younger and at school, was there other sports that you were good at that you were thinking about going into, like rugby, for example?
Yeah, I was one of those annoying kids. So, like, my main sport growing up from the age of 9, I did BMX racing. So basically, how that came about was they were building a BMX track in my parents' village, and my babysitter said, "Oh, for Christmas, you want to get a decent second-hand bike because they're building this track." And I started racing, and quite quickly, that's from the age of 9, I sort of realised that I loved competition. So I was ranked number 2 in the country in my first year, and I came 4th in the European Champs when I was 13. I went to 2 World Championships. And then because of that, I didn't start athletics till I was sort of 16, 17. But you mentioned rugby was my main sort of sport away from the BMXing, where I got to England trials at rugby. I wasn't really that good. I was just quick, if I'm honest with you. So I was on the wing. And then sort of athletics just kind of happened when I changed school. But I was one of those kids who was a little bit cheeky in the classroom, but I seemed to get away with it because the teachers were like, "Oh, yeah, leave him alone. He reps us to school doing football, cross country, athletics. He's all right." So yes, I think sport was always going to be. I didn't think I'd ever make a living from it, but I knew I loved pushing myself to the extreme levels that my body could go to, and I knew that I really enjoyed competition, and I never liked losing. So I kind of guessed maybe if I was lucky, I might one day do something a bit different from your normal 9-to-5 job.
What about the commentating? You obviously enjoy doing that as well.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I mean, my career was cut short because of injury, if I'm honest with you. So I kind of I felt really hard done by the sport. So when I first stopped running, I hated athletics. I just thought, why me? You know, there's lots of people who've cheated. There's lots of people who I hate, who have had like longevity in their careers. And there I was, you know, living in Southampton, training my heart out every day to be the best I could be. And I had 3 or 4 good years and my body kept breaking. And I felt quite disillusioned really, and a bit disappointed with the sport. But then slowly but surely I came around to the fact that, you know what, you're not going to run again. You can't train to that level. And you're a long time retired. And I started doing a bit of TV work here and there, and I actually really enjoy it. So, you know, I think things happen for a reason. And, you know, I loved my life as an athlete, but it's definitely opened other doors for me since I've retired. So I feel really, really fortunate that I found something I loved. I made a living out of it. And then since doing that, I've met some great people and had some good opportunities to do. So, yeah, I truly think everyone in life has got a talent. And I think it's only a certain percentage of people who are lucky enough to realise what that might be. You might have someone who is really good working with numbers. You might have someone who's brilliant with children, really patient, someone who's got a lovely bedside manner. They're going to be a doctor or whatever, but they might not realise that that's their future, and they never discover that. And, you know, I think for whatever reason, sport was my way out, or if you want, and, you know, I was lucky to realise that. So I do think we've all got talent, but as I said, it's only a certain amount of people who are lucky enough to realise their potential. So, yeah, I'm grateful, really.
Yeah, you've done really well. You've just reinvented yourself and become really successful at something else you enjoy. So, you've done so well.
Yeah, thank you. I just feel, I feel lucky, you know, in terms of, I do sort of, I think with TV work or radio or whatever, you know, I do kind of work quite hard as well. And I think for some people, they might not realise that. You know, it's a little bit like being an athlete as well. Some people watch you on TV and think, oh, he's done all right. He just turned up and run one lap of the track. They don't realise you train 11 months of the year, 7 days a week, whatever the weather, just for that one race. So it's a little bit like TV in that. I think if you don't prep properly and if you don't know your subject, you get found out. So it's the same as whatever what you guys do. You've got to try and prepare to be the best at what you do, because if you don't, there's someone else nipping at your heels and there'll be someone else wanting to do your job. So yeah, I just feel once again fortunate that I've had an opportunity to do something else. So yeah.
So do you think when people recognise you, do they recognise you more for being a presenter now or for being an athlete? Is that changing as people get older?
Yeah, it definitely changes. I think for me, I remember, I think it was 2008. I did Celebrity MasterChef, and I was runner-up. And I think I was still doing a little bit of training, and I went down the track, and some kid went, "Mummy, look, there's that chef off TV." And the mum went, "No, he actually was a world-class athlete." You know, a lot of people, obviously, I've not run since the late 90s, really. So someone won't remember me being European champion in 1998. but they might remember me off doing something last week for the one show or whatever it might be. I mean, the only sort of hold I still have with my athletics, which sort of on one hand makes me proud, but on the other hand makes me feel really old, is the fact that I still hold the British record for the 400. So I set that back in 1997, so that's 23 years ago. So sometimes I feel like that was yesterday, and other times I feel like, God, you're getting old. We've got a mutual friend, me and Nathan, Tim, and sometimes I talk to Tim about it, and he was in the car with me driving back when I did that from Birmingham. He's going, I can't believe it. We made the fastest Britain ever. I went, yeah. And you kind of take it for granted at the time because you're young, I'm running well. I just went, yeah, it's cool. It's only now that I'm beginning to be proud of what I did do as an athlete, now that I can't do it anymore. So, yeah, it's funny. Some people will recognise you from an athlete, and other people will go, I've never heard of you, mate. It's just what, people are, know things for different reasons. Some people might not watch TV. Some people might like sport. It is what it is.
Is there any British runners that sort of, anywhere getting close to beating your record at the moment, or? Yeah, definitely. There's a lad called Matthew Hudson Smith, and he's from Birmingham, but he moved to America a couple of years ago to really concentrate on his training, and he's had a couple of injuries, but he has definitely got the talent, I think, to break my record. I'd say, yeah, if he doesn't do it in the next couple of years, he might not, but I think he has got the talent. It's a weird one, because if I'm honest with you, Jared, I sit here and I'm kind of like, as a lover of my sport, I want someone to come and break my record, because Roger Black had it before me, and he only had it for 12 months. So like, he had it for a year, then I got it. And half of me thinks, yeah, someone needs to come and get that now. It needs to progress and move on. But the other half, the selfish side, think, no, I quite like it. I quite like being I can say to you, you two now, I'm the British record holder. It's a nice thing to have.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
It was, is it Seb Coast who got the 800-metre record from like 91 or something, isn't he?
Yeah, I think his British record will stay a long time. I think he had the world record for a long time, and that went in the late 90s. I think his world record went. But yeah, I mean, people always say records are there to be beaten. I think at the end of the day, it's funny because I never look at them, but I think now I've got a kid, and when he's a bit older to understand it, I can't wait to sit him down and show him my medals and say, oh yeah, your daddy used to run around, well basically daddy used to run around in a circle is what I did. But yeah, your daddy used to run, and this medal's from there, and I travelled to America, I got that, or whatever it might be. But, I look forward to the day that Teddy's old enough to sort of understand what I used to do.
Yeah, great.
So, getting away from athletics, I wanted to ask you about what was your favourite place? I remember you going out to Southampton a few nights. What's your favourite haunt?
I don't know. It depends what sort of mood we're in. I used to go to Orange Rooms a lot.
Yeah, that's still there.
Yeah, Barry's gone though, isn't he? Barry and his missus have retired, haven't they? Or
yeah, but Barry's retired. When Barry retired, we took that over. Same owner, Gary. Yeah, so they're still there.
I like the Orange Room.
Yeah, it's a real iconic venue of Southampton, Orange Room.
Yeah, it was at the time. It was sort of the place. It was the place to go, really. I think.
Yeah.
But it's a weird one with Southampton, because obviously now I'm of that generation where if I go out, I feel really old. So like I've got, I probably would go to watch the football and end up going for a couple of drinks in Oxford Street or something like that now, something a bit quieter. Like I wouldn't really go, because long gone are the days where Icon and Diva. I don't even know if they're still there. Are they still there? That's where I used to go back in the day.
It's called something else now, but yeah. Yeah, it's a long time ago. And McCluskey's, I'm sure you remember.
McCluskey's.
New York.
I wasn't really one for New York's, but there was a girl called Sam who used to work at McCluskey's, and for some reason she used to sort me out with the drinks. Like she'd look around and I'd go 4 pints or whatever, and she'd look around and she'd go 10p, please. And I was like, what? So that was when I was first becoming an athlete. So we used to go there on a Tuesday night, and then there was a place. Do you remember by the Guildhall? Petroski's or something. It was underground. Do you remember that?
I remember Petroski's. It was a vodka bar.
Yeah, Petroski's. I used to go in there a little bit. Yeah.
You go downstairs, and it was good because you were probably went in there for the same reason. It was £1 for a vodka and mixer.
Yeah, it was good in there. And then you had Square Balloon.
Flavoured vodkas. Sorry?
The Square Balloon. Is that still there? It might be called the Square now.
It's called Switch now. It's a massive nightclub. It's like one of the most famous nightclubs in the country now. They're doing really well. They've got massive acts there. We're doing the security for it. They smashed it before lockdown. Sorry, Jared?
Is that where Idris went to?
Yeah, Idris Elba was there. I think
Really?
Snoop was there before it becomes Switch, but there is a lot of people that people queue around the road for, but I'm not sure who they are. But they're obviously really famous because people are paying good money and queuing a long time to see them.
But what you're saying, Nath, is if I come out of you, we don't have to queue. We'd jump the queue.
Yeah, we'll go to the VIP area. Yeah.
Nice. I
Decent
tell
dancing.
you, I don't know if it's one of yours. It probably isn't. But I used to go occasionally to what was the Jamaican bar called? Oh, what's it called?
Was that near Ocean Village?
No, it's the one on the Guildhall Square. They're a chain of they're a chain of restaurants, but they do really good cocktails. Turtle Bay. Yeah, they do some nice cocktails in there. But I don't go out anymore, to be honest with you.
No.
I'll literally go to the football and maybe go to the Oxford Street for a couple of drinks afterwards. But yeah. As I said, I need to find a venue where I don't feel as old as I am. You know what it's like. You go out and you're seeing these youngsters out, and you're like, oh, I could be your dad. I shouldn't be out. But yeah.
Yeah, we'll just try a few nice pubs in Winchester or Salisbury or something where we fit in there.
That'd be good. An old man pub where we can sit by a fire and drink some ale.
So sorry, you go, Jared.
I didn't like the sound of old man pub. That sounded a bit sort of, sedate.
Yeah, sophisticated.
Oh yeah, okay, sophisticated you can do. What about something nice to eat? That'd be all right.
What was that, Jared?
Somewhere nice to eat. There must be a few places in Southampton for a bit of good grub.
Yeah, there's quite a few restaurants. So, have you been out recently, Jared? Well, before lockdown? I mean, Ewan?
No, not really. No, I was working until not long ago in London every weekend. So I used to be away most weekends. I'd come home sort of late Saturday afternoons, and I just want to chill out and be at home really. So yeah, I don't tend to go out that much. Around where I live, a sort of occasional Sunday we go out to Hamble or Warsash or something like that, and go to some nice bars in the daytime. But yeah, not really one. I try and avoid sort of like a busy Saturday night out. It's not really. I've been there and done it kind of thing, So yeah, maybe we'll have to find a nice sophisticated.
Yeah, we've
little hall.
Grown up.
Yeah, well, yeah, sort of. We've all got to grow up sometime, haven't we?
Yeah, you still have a laugh though. I've seen your social media.
Oh yeah, I may grow up sort of, but I don't really grow up. Yeah.
Like the time you was trying as many underpants as possible under a minute, I think it was.
Yeah, I could have broken that. I think I was a bit slow on that. I tactically didn't do it too well, because I should have had the underpants lined up in front of me and jumped into them. Someone beat me after they watched it, and they jumped into their pants as they went along the room. So I think I could beat that. I'm not going to do it now, but I think I could beat it.
Are you going for the British record?
Yeah,
the British underpant record. I can do it.
Are you still going to carry on with the podcast? Because that was good. It was called Le Pod with Laetitia, and I think Ricky Lambert.
Yeah, I was enjoying that. I really was enjoying that. So I've got to speak to the football club. Obviously, the world's gone a bit crazy, isn't it? Obviously, with lockdown, we don't really know what's happening. I know Southampton, everything's being played behind closed doors at the moment. So I don't really know if there'll be a market for a Series 2. Hopefully there will be, but I can't see football getting back to normal till next year. I can't see crowds being allowed for this. A little bit like the London Marathon that's meant to be happening in October. I can't see that either. I just think with mass gatherings of people, I think it's going to be a bit of time before that goes back to normal. So hopefully it's quicker than that, but I don't think the Premier League will be back to normal till sort of January, February next year.
Was that to do with Southampton Football Club then, that podcast?
Yeah, it was through the club. Yeah, so we filmed it at the stadium, and it was all football related, and yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It was really nice hearing like Ricky Lambert and Matt Laetitia tell us about stories from yesteryear about coaches and teammates and stuff. Yeah, it was good. Really, it was good to hear some funny stories.
Yeah, it's good to hear like behind the scenes stuff, and it's probably stuff you couldn't get away with these days. So it's good to hear the story. I don't know if it was it on your podcast where Matt was talking about going to McDonald's for training.
Yeah, he said he didn't try a vegetable until he was 24 years old. And I was, he goes, I said, your mum must have tried when you were a kid. He goes, I wasn't having it. So I think the first time he tried it was when a new manager came in at the club, and he accidentally matched a Brussels sprout or something into something or other, and he was like, that's horrible. So yeah, I don't think Matt was the model athlete, was he? You could see the way he played, that he was an unbelievably talented footballer, but he didn't look like a sportsman, did he?
No, not at all. But he was incredible. Like some of the goals that he scored. I can't think of a player that has scored like that many incredible goals the way he scored them.
Yeah, unbelievable talent. Like, and I even played like a couple of charity football games with him years after he retired. And you looked at him and you thought, yeah, I'll be able to get around him. Not a chance, because I think with him and a lot of ex-pros, that their brain, they're 3 moves ahead of you. You know, they see the ball coming, they know where they want it to go. It doesn't matter if they look out of shape; they've still got that touch. And like, yeah, Matt Letizia is just so talented. I've seen him play golf as well. His coordination and his skill level is unbelievable. And to be fair, he's a decent bloke as well, which makes it even nicer.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. He opened up my free weights gym all those years ago when I first opened, I think in 2001. I sort of knew him from going down Jumpin Jacks when I was on the door. And he very kindly come down and opened it up.
Nice.
Jumpin Jacks. I saw a Jumpin Jacks the other day. I was filming for the one show in Plymouth, and there was a Jumpin Jacks, and it all brought it back. I went, Jumpin Jacks. I remember that from Southampton. Yeah, that was quite a good place as well, wasn't it?
And Hot Shots next door.
Hot Shots. Yeah, I remember Hot Shots. Yeah.
It's amazing because Matt and Claus Lundekvam, they used to come down there a lot. And thinking, you guys can drink anywhere, and they're getting in there for the pound drinks.
Yeah, they used to love it. As you said, footballers wouldn't get away with that now. In fact, I went to, it was at the Harbour, then Ocean Village, and I saw Danny Ings out once. I was out one Saturday night, and I had a chat with him, and he was having a cup of tea. Legit, he was drinking a pot of tea, and I was just like, yeah, these guys are professionals now. It's totally different. Back in the day, too right. You'd see Liches out, wouldn't you, like on a Tuesday night or something, having a couple of drinks. But yeah, I think the game has become so scientific, and you know they can't get away with anything now, and you can't really, can you, with mobile phones out and stuff as well. But yeah, it was nice to see him out, but it was after a game that they'd won, and he was having a cup of tea, and I just thought, yeah, fair play.
The thing is, you can't like go out and drink that much, because everyone that you're playing against, they've got everything just right. So it would be an uneven playing field these days. But back then, everyone was drinking, like the Arsenal had when their Tuesday club and all the other top sides. They all had their drinking schools, so it was even.
Yeah, different culture back then, and you know, it's definitely changed.
Is that the same for athletics? Was there a bit of a drinking culture when you're going on tour? And
not so much on tour, but like you mentioned earlier, McCluskey. So like when I first moved down to Southampton, I only knew a few people in a training group, and like we'd train hard on a Tuesday night, and then me and Tim would go to McCluskey's, and then basically you'd never go out if you had a hot train session on Wednesday, but we had track sessions Tuesday, Thursdays, whatever it might be. You'd kind of enjoy yourself a little bit as well, but some athletes are different. 400-meter runners, we're a bit of a different breed. You know, we were quite I wouldn't say party animals, but we trained hard and we played hard a little bit.
Yeah. And I expect that's changed as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think nowadays it's the same sort of thing. I think if I'm honest, if I had my time again now and what I know now, I didn't know then, I probably would have been a bit smarter as well. Like in terms of, it's like anything in life. When things are going well, you're riding that crest of a wave and you just think, oh, this will last forever. You know, too right. Oh, you know, I took a lot of things for granted when it was going well. And like, I look back now and I just think, you know, for example, you know, after the 98 season, I had a Molyneux Tussauds waxwork made. I got an MBE, and I was just like, oh, that's quite cool. You know, and literally I didn't really appreciate how proud I should have been of those things. It was only like 5 years later when my Molyneux Tussauds waxwork was melted down because I got injured. I was like, yeah, that could have. I think that they keep the head and they melt the body down, and I don't know who I became. I don't know, but yeah, when I was being made, and you had to have loads of sittings, they were sculpting and they were measuring everything up. They had like a cupboard full of heads, and I was like, oh my god! And they said, yeah, he used to be in here like 10 years ago. And I think they're so expensive to make. I mean, at the time, I'm talking 1998. Off the top of my head, I think each waxwork was about £45,000 to make.
That's amazing. I never knew that.
Yeah, so they keep the head and then they'd melt down the body and turn it into someone else.
So who were you stood next to? Was it some other well-known athlete?
I can't remember who I was with. It wasn't someone from athletics, but yeah, I can't remember from the world of sport. I've got a picture of it somewhere at home. I'll have to dig it out. But it was freaky because it looked so good. It honestly looked really, really good. And I remember standing next to it going, whoa, it's just mad.
Must have freaked you out.
Yeah, it really did. They were so professional. The sculptures or whoever, whoever made it was really good. But as I said at the time, it was almost like, oh, that's cool. Next year bigger and better things. But then next year didn't happen because I got injured, and then it was only when I look back and think, I should have really probably savored the moment a little bit more. But it's like anything in life. You take things for granted. It's even, maybe it's a little bit like lockdown. You don't know what you've got until it's gone. And I think, lockdown has taught a lot of people to perhaps value their lives and their loved ones because, things can change quite quickly. Be it an accident or something happens to you overnight, your life can suddenly change. I think lockdown, I hope, has made people value people a little bit more, and it's made them actually realise, I took that person for granted. I'm lucky to have them in my life, and maybe when we're through the other side of this, people hopefully will be a little bit nicer.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we've been quite lucky. We were sort of locked down, and we had our son back from university with his girlfriend. We've got a lodger as well, so he's a chef. So actually, there's a few of us together. We're sorted. But there's a few people sort of bounce off, if you like. So, decent conversations, plenty of people to talk to. Whereas, if you're on your own or something like that, or, a single parent with a kid, that kind of thing, must be quite difficult.
Can you imagine? I was moaning during lockdown, and I thought, have a word with yourself, because can you imagine you're a single parent living in a 4-story, top floor of a block of flats, and you've got 2 kids under the age of 6 or something like that. You've got no garden. You can't get out, and you must think, how tough must that be to having to try and homeschool people where you can't go out, and that's why I started thinking to myself, do some DIY, cut the grass, paint that fence, do whatever, keep yourself busy, because I'm lucky to have a garden. Some people don't have a garden. Some people don't have that luxury where they can walk to a local park or do whatever they can do. So, I think lockdown has been so tough for a lot of people. It must have been horrific.
Yeah. Hopefully, we're starting to see the signs that we're starting to come out of it.
Yeah.
So, hopefully that.
Excuse me.
You ain't got anything, have you?
That wasn't a cough. That wasn't a cough. That was a sneeze.
No, that's good timing.
That's why I keep drinking. Cool. Shall I? I'll start recording.
We're gonna have a night out then, yeah. We'll have when it's all done.
Yeah.
We'll have a little night out.